Recently, Nintendo announced that the Pokémon trading card game is coming soon to Nintendo Switch. Finally! When Pokémon TCG Live was announced in 2021 for desktop and mobile, players around the world fingered their Joy-Cons in wild anticipation for the arrival of the brand new card game, which will, I might add, be the only way to access the new generation of Scarlet and Violet cards now that support for the previous game, PTCGO, has ended. I absolutely cannot wait to hang on a second. You're telling me it's just the original Pokemon trading card game coming to Switch? Not the new one developed by the Pokemon company that already works on your phone and tablet? Okay, that's fine. I mean, TCG Live causes your phone to explode, and there's so many bugs we'd need an army of bug catchers to squash them all. You know what? Maybe this is a good thing. Instead of introducing people to the TCG with a broken game like Live, they can enjoy a game from 25 years ago that actually works. As for the original Game Boy Color Pokemon TCG game, the main question is, has a Snorlax ever gone to sleep next to a small Pokemon like Pikachu and accidentally rolled over onto it, KOing the poor thing instantly? Also, is it still worth playing a game from the 1990s, or should you be spending your time elsewhere when it comes to Virtual Console Game Boy titles on Switch? Well, let me tell ya, Pokemon trading card game has aged okay. Compared to modern card games, it moves more slowly than my dog when I catch him doing unspeakable things to my Growlithe plushie. Each action is methodical and deliberate, and a lot of times the game will tell you exactly what's happening by popping up a new message on a new screen that's typed out super slowly. Observing the game board and fingering your opponent's cards also takes a few extra steps. Because the Game Boy was such an archaic system for peasants and only had one screen, all the important information was squished into a small area. But despite all my gripes, above all, the Pokemon TCG is fun, even back at the beginning. Yes, a fast forward button would be nice. I played the 3DS Virtual Console version for this video, so it wasn't an option. But it's a badge-based Pokemon TCG adventure with catchy music. The fact that this even exists in the first place is awesome. The new 2022 game is all about PvP, so it's fun going back to a time when you weren't forced to beat off other people. When I first began my journey through the Nameless region, a couple of things caught me off guard. Instead of the dude being called Professor Tree, he's called Dr. Mason. That would explain why he cut my Pokeballs and asked me to cough. I just thought he was a weirdo. Then again, he does end every email with a winky face, so I'm not sure he's a real doctor. Second, instead of it being called battling, they called it dueling. Obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh! Adopted that like it was an unwanted baby, but I still found it interesting. Oh, and because the game is 25 years old, there's some real Tauros crap when it comes to weakness and resistance. Like, why do colorless Pokemon resist psychic types? It might have to do with the fact that ghost types were turned into psychic types in the TCG, but still, it's crap. Other than some issues with early decisions the developers made back before Metal and Darkness types even existed in the TCG, this game is good. Unlike Red and Blue, where you travel around a big map, battling wild Pokemon and playing with your balls, things are much more constrained here. Now you just have a world map where you select a few different locations, and battle what are essentially trainers and gym leaders inside those buildings, all in the pursuit of the Egyptian god cards, which honestly kinda suck. Now, 20-something years after the original Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy, we received Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. While the first game is too old to date Leonardo DiCaprio, from a technical perspective it does run better than the new Pokemon TCG Live. And the avatars aren't nearly as creepy. Something they have in common though is that you risk getting a headache. The Game Boy game likes to change screens quickly and constantly. To be fair, this was a problem with Yellow as well, where some of the effects would be seizure-inducing. Well, the developers of TCG Live decided to revive that and include a bunch of random flashes that give players headaches. I guess it's their way of paying homage to their predecessor. Where the original game has a leg up on the newer games is with the unique effects for a lot of the attacks. Instead of one attack representing the entire type, when you use something like Horn Drill, you can get extra horny while watching an actual horn drill. It's such a futuristic feature. What's unfortunate about the original is the difficulty, or I guess the RNG. You start out by choosing one of the 3 starter decks, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander. Naturally, I selected the best starter, Bulbasaur. But the deck you begin with isn't cohesive, it's sort of a mishmash of 2 different decks and you're just supposed to hope it works. If it does and you win, a victory gets you 2 packs to improve your deck. Lose and you hate yourself. I know there's a way to time coin flips, but if you go free willy, it'll be tails more often than heads. You also have to rely on RNG with those packs. While you're desperately hoping for another Bulbasaur or Ivysaur or Professor Oak to improve your deck's consistency, you'll end up getting a Gyarados or a Flareon that are completely useless in your grass deck. And because the game speed is slower than my ex-wife dropping off the kids when she knows it's my day with them, losing really sucks. Like, more than my ex-wife whenever I bought her a pumpkin spice latte on our way to therapy. In terms of playtime, it took me just under 8 hours to see the credits. Obviously, being a Pokemon master at baiting my opponents into doing what I want, I rarely lost. For those of you who aren't masters at baiting, expect about 10 hours of playtime here. However, while you'll get a decent amount of hours out of Pokemon trading card game, it's not all fresh and fun. In order to fight a lot of the gym leaders, you need to beat off their underlings first. It's nice that there'll be 3 or 4 prize battles, while 6 prize battles are reserved for the tougher opponents. But like I said, the battles drag more than a teenager's feet while they're walking. Especially when you have a guaranteed victory, but the opponent spams a single energy paralysis move and flips heads 8 turns in a row. Yes, that actually happened to me. It's also super frustrating that a concede button doesn't exist, so if you fill up your bench but it's clear early on that you don't stand a chance, it makes a lot more sense to just turn off the game and restart from your most recent save. Another remnant of an ancient age is the AI. I battled against Stephanie and she literally never attacked despite always having the necessary energy. I think she was just afraid of activating Tauros' rampage attack, or maybe she was creeped out by the way I was looking at her. But either way, I won a duel I should have lost because the computer decided to just never attack. So there are definitely ways to cheese certain battles. One thing I really miss that Pokemon TCG Live has is being forced to watch your opponent celebrate and mock you after losing in what turns out to be an unskippable scene. Obviously, that's the kind of behavior the Pokemon Company wants their players to have, so it sucks to see them not have it all the way back at the beginning. Now, I know we like to have fun here when it comes to feet and toes and how they taste, but I'm gonna get super serial right now. I am literally the #1 Pokemon TCG live streamer in the world. Who cares if I'm also the only Pokemon TCG live streamer, because it's a game so bad that it has driven away more people from the TCG than lured them in. I'm still technically the best in the world, so I do have some knowledge when it comes to this particular card game. This makes me the perfect person to answer this question. When Serena asks who's your daddy, does Ash cry? Also, is Pokemon trading card game worth playing on Nintendo Switch in 2023? Absolutely. In fact, it's the best way to play Pokemon cards digitally in 2023 on Nintendo Switch. I don't know if it's the nostalgia, the catchy music, the fact that I eventually learned the coin flip exploit, or just being able to play a Pokemon trading card game without having to worry about constant issues, but I became addicted to this game, even despite its clear faults due to age. With TCG Live doing everything it can to push people away from the game, the original on Switch can pull them back in like a Magnemite attracted to my buns of steel. If you're thinking of playing the original, then seeing what this TCG Live is all about, let Admiral Akbar's words echo in your mind. Move the fleet away from the Death Star. Also, it's a trap. My advice is to enjoy the original now, then wait until 2024 and see how Live's doing then. I just came from the future. Live still sucks, but I have 1 million subscribers and it all started because of you hitting that subscribe button right now. If you don't, you'll be altering the timeline and it could have catastrophic results. In the future I come from, the Pokemon Company hired a second developer to create mainline Pokemon games and they're everything we hoped for. Don't mess that up. Don't mess that up.